If you just think about everything that's going on in the world, and then your child, you send your child to school to get education, and you get a phone call that there's been a shooting. That's not what you're sending him to school for. So then you get emotional when it happens.
We begin tonight with an update to a breaking story, a school shooting in the upstate. Late this evening, we learned the student who was shot has died.
Deputies say one student shot another student at Tanglewood Middle School in Greenville County. The suspected shooter has been arrested and charged with murder.
We are getting our first images tonight of the victim. According to a family spokesperson, 12-year-old Jamari Jackson died this evening at the hospital. He was shot by another 12-year-old student just after noon today, according to the sheriff.
And parents and students are devastated tonight.
News 13's Samir Nefsi has been at that school following all of these breaking developments and has new information tonight.
As the sun is set here on a horrific day at Tanglewood Middle School, the caution tape has been removed and law enforcement has gone home for the most part. But what remains raw are the emotions from students, staff members, and parents that are now coming to terms with the murder of 12-year-old Jamari Jackson. Shortly before 12:30 p.m. Thursday, several law enforcement agencies responding to a backup call for a shooting at the middle school. According to the Greenville County Sheriff, in the 700 wing of the building, a 12-year-old student shot Jackson. He was hit at least once.
1 minute we was taking a test, everything was okay, and then next minute the intercom came on. It was a lockdown drill.
It didn't feel like it was real at first.
Student and staff members ushered onto school buses as law enforcement searched for the shooter.
It was scary.
Nearly an hour later, deputies finding the 12-year-old suspected shooter hiding under the deck of his home.
I'm just speechless. You know, you hear it every day on the news, you hear it, but when it's in your own backyard with your own child, it's just something it's just a feeling that you can't express.
Students, staff members, and parents reuniting at the Brookwood Church for the first time since hearing about the tragedy.
It's tears of joy now because I can see him, but yet it's also tears of pain because another family has to be at the hospital with their child for something senseless and stupid.
Since receiving the first call, I wasn't okay. I just felt my whole heart drop.
The Greenville County School Superintendent releasing this statement after official word Jackson had died. Writing, quote, "This is an absolute tragedy and we will continue to do what we can to support his family and the Tanglewood community as they mourn the young life that was lost."
You hear about it all the time, and then everybody else says, well, that won't happen here, that won't happen here. And then it's different when it hits close to home.
Jackson's family releasing a statement through a liaison, writing, quote, "We are all devastated by today's tragedy. We love Jamari dearly." Classes at Tanglewood Middle School will be optional for both students and staff members on Friday, resuming normal operations on Monday. The 12-year-old shooting suspect has been taken to Columbia, South Carolina, where he is being held. He now faces a charge of murder and several charges of possession of a firearm.
Is dead and another is in custody after a shooting today at an upstate middle school. News 13's Samir Nefsi is live in Greenville County. Samir, what's the latest?
Tied us a tragic day overall here for the Tanglewood Middle School community. A family liaison has released the name of that middle school student who has since passed. Of course, the Greenville County Sheriff's Department has confirmed the death as well. They've not released the name, but a family liaison, as I mentioned, has. We're now learning the name is Jamari Jackson, the middle school student that was shot today. The family wrote in a statement saying, quote, "We are all devastated by today's tragedy." Now, it all unfolded around noon today here at the middle school. I'm going to go ahead and step out of the way. Now, the Greenville County Sheriff's Office responded to a call after a resource officer said there was a shooting inside. We've since learned that Jackson was the student that was shot. A suspect has been arrested. We're told that is another middle school student. Law enforcement not releasing the name of that suspect, but they have been arrested and for questioning at this time. Law enforcement has not released if there was a relationship between the two or if they even knew each other or anything that led up to what transpired to that school shooting. Following that, students and staff members were taken to a reunification site at the Brookwood Church, which is about 25 minutes away. Their parents, students, staff members, all still very much rattled by what unfolded today here at the middle school. Take a listen to what some students had to say.
It didn't feel like it was real at first. Most of the time we do like drills a lot, so we didn't know if it was real, but once we came outside and saw the police officer and stuff, people started crying and stuff like that because it just felt real.
Yeah, a mix of emotions without a question. A lot of parents, I had one parent tell me today, she was crying, tears just pouring down her face. And she said these are tears of joy that she's now reunited with her child, but also tears of sadness for Jackson, who has now since passed. As for classes, they will be optional tomorrow for both students and staff members. It'll be an excused absence if they decide to just not attend tomorrow, obviously given light as to what happened here today. Of course, counselors will be on site for students and staff members as well. We'll have an update later on tonight. We're live at Tanglewood Middle School. Samir Nefsi, News 13.
A new study released this week shows major issues with voter eligibility in the state. News 13's Kristen Aguirre spoke with election officials about those allegations.
While the study reveals a lot of issues, election officials tell me there are several protocols in place to prevent voter fraud in North Carolina.
Everything is that we do in elections is by this law book.
Corinne Duncan, the director of elections for Buncombe County, saying her team is doing everything they can to make sure every voter on the roll is eligible to vote.
Are you confident that your office is doing everything it can to be in front of voter fraud?
Yes.
This question coming after a report by the public interest group Legal Foundation, a conservative nonprofit that works to purge voter polls, reported over 60,000 voters on North Carolina's rolls are dead, registered twice, or enrolled in other states. State election officials declined an interview for the story, but through an email said state and county board of elections in North Carolina remove ineligible voters from the voter registration database as required by state and federal law. Duncan saying she can only speak to what the county does to prevent voter fraud.
We have many ways that we do what's called list maintenance,
which means combing through voter rolls to make sure they're as up to date as possible. The database changes daily.
We're adding new voters, doing party changes all the time.
All new voters go through a voter verification process, which involves sending out verification cards.
We're really under pressure from all directions.
To make sure deceased voters are off the roll, the county uses 3 different protocols.
We do state matches, so the state has a relationship with DHHS, and they compile matches, and then they send them to all of the counties.
The county also has a relationship with the Register of Deeds and utilizes data sharing with other states to share info on registered voters.
And that's within the state and between states. Any states that share information, we do that with.
Right now, Buncombe County has more than 200,000 registered voters. Duncan and her team performing monthly reports to check the roll for deceased voters, felons, and possible duplicates. Those monthly check-ins turn weekly during voting.
Required to be perfect and fast. And so that's just a lot of pressure on my people.
As a reminder, voter fraud in our state is a felony. To check your voter registration, visit our website at WLOS.com.